Okay, good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. Yesterday was quite a disaster. It seems like that's been the norm for quite a while now, is just for the market to open and just chop around and not really do anything. So here's all of yesterday. As you can see, it looks very much like Black Friday and Thanksgiving. So nothing really great to talk about here. We had all the expectations yesterday for the market to push lower and come down to get at least down through 50% of last week. And that was kind of what we were expecting to happen. But then the market didn't do anything. You guys know I got short here, and then it didn't go anywhere and came right back. I was targeting down into 50% of the previous week, and then it just chopped around all day. So as you guys saw in the chat room, I took off at some point, and every time I came back, we were just kind of chopping up inside this stuff, and then it started to look like it was going to break out, came back down. And as you can see, the main area that the bulls were having trouble with was 50% of the day before. There's a reason that I watched that level, and it ends up being a great area not only for bias but for actual trades. And yesterday, again, our bias was bearish, expecting a push lower. We eventually got it, but it didn't happen until last night. So all day yesterday, they probably were just taking shorts, taking longs, and not going anywhere. And then finally, when the market closed yesterday, we got the push lower. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles, guys. This is what makes trading really difficult, right? I got a losing trade in here somewhere, and my other trade didn't get follow through, and I decided to call it a day. So I left with a loss, and I'm ready to start fresh today. Again, I keep my losers really small, and then when my winners get a nice running run, that's where I make my money. So nothing great yesterday, but still in the game, still ready to hit it today and see if we can get this the expectation to actually follow through this morning. So, I mean, that's basically the review for yesterday. I don't really have anything notable to mention here. This really, in my opinion, was probably the best thing to do yesterday, was as the market was failing right off our scaffolding level, which, by the way, really would have been a great little spot to try short. You would have took about 1 point of heat on it, and you actually probably would have made a little bit of money. But we failed from the first area of expected resistance, got down through VWAP, started to break down through the holding orange power level, and then that's why I went ahead and tried it. And in my opinion, all these tries, try, fail. By that third time, I was like, okay, this makes sense. It might fall, and then it held. And then I think that's when I put in the chat room to you guys, this looks like this is probably going to pop all the way back through. And then from there, what happened? We popped all the way back through, but then turned around and then came all the way back, right? So that was probably the best thing to try, and then it didn't get any follow through. Obviously, if you shorted the top end, our first expected resistance zone yesterday, yes, you would have grabbed about 10, 15 points to the downside, or 10 points to the downside, before it came back to test 50% of the previous day there, right? So nothing too sexy, but we did hold the first expected area of resistance with a 1 point break for 2 tests, I think, and then came up and then held the 50% of the previous day and broke it by just about, I think, exactly 2 points, or just under 2 points. So we never even broke through 50% of the day before by 2 points. That was a 1.5 break. And then we held it here basically to the tick to pull back at the end of the day. So there were opportunities, but if you were trying to trade inside of this stuff down here, it would have been pretty much a disaster, right? So that brings us here into our overnight, and that was basically our review. As you can see, we are now getting the follow through that we wanted to see yesterday, and ideally, I was expecting to see it out of the open here, a nice quick flush down through 50% of the previous week. So we're getting it now. What do we have over here? We have a nice hold from VWAP in the overnight session. Again, did it hold perfectly to the tick in this instance? No. But essentially, the market held below the VWAP, held below 50% of the previous day, and now here we are testing into this very critical area in the chart that we've talked about in our pre-markets. So that brings us to our pre-market for this morning. Let's go ahead and bring up the higher time frames here.